In the stage 1 we look at printing, but there's a couple of areas we didn't examine in the stage 1. First of all, when you're viewing a sheet, and I'm in the sheet called database, there's 3 different ways of viewing a spreadsheet. At the bottom here on your status bar, you have 3 buttons to view normal, which you've been working with, page layout, or even page break view. I'm going to go into page break view. When you go into page break view, it actually shows you where the pages will break. And so this information will print on page 1 and this information will print on page 2. People find it really useful because it's a handy way to stretch and move page breaks. If I drag this dotty dashy line down, I'm actually scaling so that it all fits on one page now. And if I actually go to page layout in the ribbon, I can see it scaled it to 85% of its normal size to get it to fit on one page. So if I want to take it back to 100% normal, I just increase this back to 100% and that generates a second page again. So people do like to actually drag the borders to control what prints. The other thing that's very handy is to be able to insert page breaks. So if I want a page break in the middle of this list, then I might click on row 33 and I've got a breaks option here in my page layout view, and I can insert a page break. And I'm automatically now got this printing on page 1 and this printing on page 2. In fact, if I selected column D, I could go back to breaks and insert another page break. And now I'm printing on 4 pages. If I right click, I can also insert a page break. And if I right click, I can also reset all page breaks so it goes back to normal. So it's quite a handy view when you're controlling what will print on what pages. The other thing that's important with regards to printing is page layout view. The 3 views here, the middle button is page layout, and what page layout does is it actually lets you interact directly with the headers and the footers. I can click up here and I can see the name of the sheet is going to print in the middle head of the page. If I click in the left head of the page, I can then insert things like the date and press enter and the time it was printed. I can click in the right head and I can influence things like the page number and things like that. These are all across the top here. I can ask for different headers and footers for the different odd and even pages. I can ask for a different header for the first page from all the other pages, and so on and so forth. And I can even go down to the footer and control what prints at the foot of each page. And here you can see a preview of the date and time, the name of the sheet, and the page number. So page layout can control directly the headers and footers. But I'm going to go back to the normal view, which is the most common view that we work with. I may have to click in the spreadsheet and then be able to click on normal to go back to normal. Another interesting thing with regards to printing is print areas. Now I think if I go back to the sheet, I'm just going to right click this corner here and go back to the sheet called second VLOOKUP. This is a perfect candidate for print areas. Often when we have a sheet like this, we really don't want to print the parts list. If this ever gets printed, it's only ever to print this area here. So what we do is we select the area, we go into page layout and we go to print area and we set that as the print area. Now no matter what, if anybody went to print this sheet, it would only ever print that area. And I can click the print preview button to prove that. It would only ever print the order form, and I'd print it in portrait view. If I go back, sometimes we want to clear the print area because things have since been redesigned and got longer or wider. So we need to go into print area and clear the print area, which means if I went print preview, it would print the lot. And you can see there's the list out the side. And then I can re-establish the print area by selecting a range and going into print area and set the print area. And we're back to printing just that area. So that can be handy as well, knowing how to set and clear print areas. And lastly, if I go back to the very last sheet, called database, We often have a row at the top which is column headings, and I want to repeat that row at the top of every page. It's not cool to select row 1 and to copy and paste it at the top of each page. What we'll instead do is go to Page Layout in the ribbon and go Print Titles. If we go Print Titles, we can then click in the option Rows to Repeat at the top, and then click on row 1. It could be 1, 2, and 3. You can have as many rows as you want, but I just want to repeat just row 1 at the top of every page. And I can then go Print Preview to see that the column headings are printed at the top of page 1, and if I was to go to page 2, they're also at the top of page 2. And the longer that printout gets, that row 1 will be repeated at the top of every single page. So that's just a couple of extra things regarding printing.